the Art of Fitness podcast. I'm Mac.
And I'm Clutch.
And today we've got something really special for you. We've got a special guest, Moses Opoku-Yeboah. Moses has a stacked resume. We're looking at 2023 bodybuilding Mr. North America, which North America is a very, very large space. So we're looking at an outstanding accomplishment. He's also a fitness entrepreneur. He owns MoFit LLC, and is also working on some very big things. And then to add on top of that, he's also a licensed massage therapist. So bro's working with the holy trinity of body work. He's got a lot of experience and expertise to share with us today, but we really want to dive into a little bit more about your story, Moses, kind of how you got here, kind of not many people have pushed themselves to where you have. So we really want to dive into what that's taught you, kind of, you know, what it costs, and what you've learned about yourself along the way. So if it's okay with you, Moses, I'd like to just get started by asking what got you into bodybuilding?
It was my clients. And then my friends at the gym. So there was one time that I was just posing upstairs, and a professional bodybuilder named Jennifer in the bikini division was like, "Do you compete?" And I said no. And she's like, "Well, you should consider it." And she was about the third person to tell me that. So I walked downstairs. I found the owner of the gym, and I was like, "Hey, do you know any bodybuilding coaches that train here?" And he pointed me to my first coach, Mike. That was November 2022. We bulked up for a little bit, competed, I believe, August 12th, 2023, and then turned pro August 30th, 2023.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was like a very short time. So what got you into fitness overall?
My parents.
Your parents. Okay.
My parents. Yeah, my mom would take me to her group fitness classes when I was a kid, and I'd just be in the daycare playing about. And then from there, my dad always pushed soccer on me and my brothers. Wow. And so soccer was very big in our household for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's it like transitioning from soccer in that kind of environment to bodybuilding?
It was hard. Strictly all my training before was about function. And then training solely for aesthetics was different. But I got accustomed to it quick. But before I switched from bodybuilding or soccer to bodybuilding, I became a massage therapist. And so once I understood the body, it sort of made the transition into bodybuilding a bit more seamless because I knew how to work each muscle to its fullest extent.
Okay. What would you say one of your first lessons was when you were transitioning over to bodybuilding? Because soccer is such a team sport. Yeah. And focusing, and unless you're like a top player, like especially in the pros, the vanity part isn't really on you. It's all about team, especially in like the little league areas of soccer. So what was one of the first lessons that you had to learn to transition over to solely focusing on yourself?
That's a great question. I think having no one else to rely on. Like I could have a bad game, you know, but my 10 other teammates could be on point and they could carry me. But, you know, there's no slacking. You know, if I'm off, my physique's off, and that's on me. So in a sense, like there's more pressure, but in another sense, it's also freeing because like everything falls on me. So if it's on me, I can control it.
I like that. That's big.
Yeah, that sounds like a really interesting kind of balance between you have a lot of self-agency, but then it's also a lot of pressure. And so when you work with your own clients, because I know that you also do personal training as well, how do you kind of guide clients through kind of navigating that balance?
So with my competitive clients, I keep the door completely open. With clients that I train solely at the gym, you know, there has to be boundaries. You know, I'm not going to respond to a text past 4 p.m. With my bodybuilding clients, it's 24/7 because I do know how difficult it is to be by yourself. And there's some coaches out there that also, you know, aren't the best emotionally. And so I try to take care of, you know, my clients physically, mentally, and emotionally as well. And so I just let them know that, hey, you know, I understand it's a lot of pressure. I know you're tired. I know you're doing 60 minutes of cardio per day. You can talk to me.
I like
Like
that.
I've been there and I know what you're feeling.
One thing that I think is interesting, switching sports, because you said like 60 minutes of cardio, right? But
Yeah.
playing soccer, that's all you're doing is cardio.
Yeah.
I know runners. I mean, it's 60 minutes of cardio is like a warm up for me. You know what I mean? It's interesting when you switch different sports, the
Yeah.
disciplines that you have to adjust to.
Right.
What was one of your biggest disciplines that you had to adjust to from going to a highly, endurance based sport to now doing cardio for 60 minutes?
It was honestly it's the eating. I used to go 2 meals a day, 2 large meals, but now I have to eat 5 to 6, and like that's the biggest thing for me, the biggest difficulty for me. The training comes naturally. Cardio comes naturally to me. Either like I can be on the stairmaster
Right.
for 90 minutes straight if need be, but it's the eating for me.
That's the eating part. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for people that may not understand really what separates bodybuilding training from just regular kind of resistance training and like functional fitness training, can you break down a little bit of like the science between like what is really different that your approach is for when you're training for like that aesthetic piece and like really maximizing that muscle growth?
Yeah, so it is. So with bodybuilding specifically, higher rep ranges, 8 to 15, sometimes 20. Compound movements are good, but you have to know how to do them in a way that you're targeting the main muscle. So let's say for a lat pull down, like I pull through my pinkies. Like I keep my forefinger and thumb light, pull through the pinkies, and then pull the bar a specific way to where my lats are only working. No biceps, no forearms, and try to do that. Second, the weight isn't important. For me, like your body doesn't know the number it's pushing. All it feels is tension. And so for muscle growth, you need mechanical tension, you need muscle damage, you need and metabolic stress. But mechanical tension is the most important piece. And you can manufacture that by just knowing how to maneuver the weight in a way to where it's only the muscle that you're intending to work that's working. And you're not just using any secondary muscle. And so I always tell my clients, your body doesn't know the weight, focus on the muscle contraction, and the rest will follow. Yeah.
So for those who I know Mac gave your illustrious background. For those who don't know why you're in the position that you are, why we think that you're such a great person to talk to about just building muscle, about fitness, run us down to your accolades and things that I remember having a conversation with you, and you were saying like you didn't know that what you did was so like phenomenal until you seen someone make a YouTube video about you, right? So tell us a little bit about like your background in that aspect.
Yeah, so when I had started in 2022, I was completely green to the sport. I had no idea exactly what men's physique was. And so I watched the Olympia, and there was this guy named Aaron Banks who won the Olympia in 2022. Built like me, he's 6'1", 6'2". I was like, okay, I can maybe be like him. And so fast forward to August, I did my first show called PA Muscle in Lancaster, and I won 6th place in 6 different categories. Like I'd won the juniors, which was 23 and under, and then I won the open class where you compete with all age groups, anyone from 18 years old up to 60. And so when I had done that, my coach had started calling me Mr. North America already, but like I had no idea what it meant. I had no idea like what the gravity of it was. And so when I get backstage for North Americans, I just felt a lot of eyes on me. A lot of eyes. And I was nervous because I don't know why people were staring at me. Like I'm eating my rice cakes, people are staring at me. I'm trying to pump up, people are staring at me. Then this one dude comes, he's tall, he's like 6'5". He was like, yeah, I think you just won the whole show. Like before anything even happened. And so we get on stage, boom, win my class. There's actually a funny story backstage that I'll share later. But we get backstage for the overall. The overall is basically every single class winner. So It's like your first introduction into a pro show, because every single person on stage is a pro. So you have Class A, Class B, going all the way to Class H. And I beat all those guys, and I won the title of Mr. North America Men's Physique. And it's hard enough to get your pro card. Some people it takes 10 years, 15, 20. For me, it just took 18 days.
Wow.
Bruh.
Wow. So what was the, I know you said that like there was a lot of people just staring at you and paying attention to you, but you know, I think that just something to be said about being oblivious to certain things.
Yeah.
Right? So how did you, like, coming out of that, just winning and coming out of that, looking back, do you think you would have still performed the way you did if you had the pressure and understood the pressure you were under?
That's a great question. I would say yes. I think I would have felt the pressure more, but regardless of like what I felt in the moment, like my physique spoke for itself, and I came prepared.
Were you nervous at all? Like, I just literally saw this post on Instagram earlier where it was talking about how Kobe's mentality was that he didn't feel like he needed to be nervous or had to be nervous because he was relying on his preparation. So I'm wondering, like, I myself thinking about being on a stage, because you're talking about the competition and, you know, as someone who's competed, but I feel like a lot of people may not be fully aware of, like, you are on stage, every inch of your body is being scrutinized, examined. Like, that is many people's worst nightmare. Speaking, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, what does that even feel like to be up there? Like, what's the emotions going through kind of your head?
Yeah. So normally I'd say I'm a quiet person, an introverted person, and so like doing anything on a public stage like used to frighten me. So thankfully, like you guys see I wear glasses. Without my glasses, I can't really see much. So when I'm on stage, I don't have my glasses.
Bro's blind.
So I'm not like I can't see anyone's faces. I can't tell who's looking at me.
Wow.
On the second hand, to dry ourselves out backstage, we take shots, and so I was a little
buzzed up.
Yeah.
You're feeling loose.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
To go back to the Kobe thing, though, I had practiced my posing, 30 minutes to an hour, like post weightlifting. So I was, even though like I did feel like a little bit of butterflies in my stomach, like my body knew what to do once I got up there.
Yeah. I like that. So what would you say, continue after that, after winning in 18 days?
Yeah.
What was the ripple effects afterwards? Because like you said, you didn't really necessarily understand the gravity of it.
Yeah.
But now after you win, there's YouTube videos being made. There's people that, have been training for this for a long time, longer than you have, and they have their opinions. You have people that's celebrating you. Like, what is the emotion soup that you're in afterwards?
That's a great question, and there's a lot of layers to it. I will say, I guess I'll have to break it down. So sponsorship-wise, I received a few. I was sponsored by a nutrition store for a while, and I get free supplements from there. Community, I would say people were happy for me. But there are a lot of like backhanded compliments, and you can feel people's energy. And I think the fact that I was able to do it in that time span, and like some people in the gym that I went to, I had spent years and years and years trying. Like there was a level of envy. They never showed it, but I can always feel it in the way they looked at me, or just their overall energy. Social media, of course, like I gained a ton of followers. There was a ton of TikTok videos, YouTube videos made, post-show. The owner of my gym, Jason, or the gym I used to go to, Jason, he had spoke to the president or the vice president of the league, and the vice president like, this kid is the future of the league. This kid is it. And so there was a lot for me to take in that I guess I didn't really process all the way. Yeah.
How do you think that how did you notice it coming out? Like when, like if do you feel like you processed it well, or do you feel like there was small things that you caught about yourself that you needed to learn more about?
Both. So in terms of processing it, I think I didn't process it too well. I tend to bury things and not really deal with the extent of my emotions, because I don't know, maybe I get scared that they're too complex and I just want to avoid it. So I do wish I was in the moment a bit more and thought and felt a bit more about it. So with that, so I went pro August 2023. I made my pro debut June 2024, 10 months afterwards, and I got top 4, which is very good for a pro debut. But I think because I hadn't dealt with my emotions properly from North Americans, I couldn't fully enjoy getting 4th place behind like three certified veterans in the league, 3 Olympians. And I think that like I expected perfection, because it's been perfection from the beginning. That like when I had failed, even though getting 4th place isn't failing, I didn't take it too well. On top of that, when I got backstage and the head judge came and talked to me, he was like, "Man, you were in that 1 to 2 spot, but your posing conditioning was off." So I slipped from 2 to 3 to 4, and that also I didn't handle that too well. And so 5 weeks after my pro debut, I had Atlanta Pro, and I got 7th out of 18, I believe, which still isn't bad. But the reason I slipped down that far is because like I was just binge eating. Those 5 weeks post show to Atlanta Pro, I was just binge eating because I was so hard on myself. Like, man, like screw all this. Yeah, just self-sabotaging.
When you're in those moments of self-sabotage, like it's interesting because I've been there, I've done it. You know what you need to do, and it's so gratifying to like sabotage yourself. I don't know why. It's like instant gratification to get those things. Yeah. What did you learn in those moments? Because it's one thing holding off to get the goal, but the goal in those moments when you're self-sabotaging, the goal is right now. Yeah. I want that donut, I want this, I want that. What did you learn from those moments?
I've always been like someone that's kept their emotions and feelings to themselves, but my then girlfriend, now wife, I just had to talk to her about it.
Okay.
And that's what I learned. Just communicate.
Communication. That's key. That's key.
Yeah, I think that goes back to just kind of the support you have as well. Like you're doing something phenomenal, and I think a lot of people underestimate the support system that goes into doing great things or really doing anything great for yourself. And I think that also loops back to when like you talk about your run club, and like the biggest part of it, in my opinion, is the fact that you're not in it alone. You have people that can like relate, or that you can at least share how you're feeling about things, which I think, how you were talking about, you kind of hit that accomplishment, which is 4th place is like, I flex a little bit, and I'm maybe see like a little bit of bicep, like 4th place out of pros is like absurd. And it's like, but you saying you weren't really in the space where you could appreciate that moment. But, once you were able to kind of like share, communicate a little bit more, that was a huge change for you. And I think that really speaks to community and the people that we have supporting us, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, especially having that support in-house. That's one thing that is really, really big, and to have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of.
There's another thing to add with
I'll
that.
go for it.
And so with placing 4th, there were a lot of people that were like, like his conditioning wasn't, people that I knew, like that went to the gym with me, saying like his conditioning wasn't that good, or like I'd switched coaches at the time, like he made a mistake, he looks better at his last show, and I think people were just waiting for me to fall so they could speak on that. There was even one guy, I had just turned 24, by the way, when I had done that, and for reference, the average age in the pro league is 35, 36. So I'm up there with guys that have been doing this,
for a while,
building muscle, almost longer than I've been alive. And so there was this one guy that came up to me. He was like, "Man, you're starting to fall off."
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mind you, at that point, like, I've done 3 shows, 2 of them amateur, 1 pro, and he told me I was starting to fall off. I thought that was crazy.
That is
so
crazy.
That also didn't help with dealing with things post-show.
I wonder in those moments, you know, one thing about myself is that I know that I can take a little bit of criticism, but also, like, even if it's from the wrong person, or the right person at the wrong time, or the wrong person at the right time, right?
Yeah.
How do you differentiate that? Because in some instance, you could look at this person who's been doing it for 10 years and be like, what is he noticing that I'm not? Because I'm in this state of mind. But then also differentiate that from this person like doing it for 10 years and he's mad that I'm at where I'm at. Like, how do you balance that type of feedback?
Yeah. So the intention behind the message. That one guy, he was trying to like poach me as a client and have me become my coach. And so I knew his intention. He was just trying to break me down mentally so he can build me back up as his client. And then when it comes to taking feedback from other people, like, I've realized I just have to only take feedback from my circle.
Yeah.
Because if I listen to everybody, I'm not hearing anybody.
Yeah.
So my wife, my coach, and a few trusted friends are the only people I take feedback from,
I like that.
physique-wise.
I like that.
Yeah, I think like just being selective.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody's voice is worth letting through and actually like sitting with. But
Yeah.
I think so. What's something that you think you learned, not just from that experience, but also including your soccer experience in terms of your relationship with your own body?
I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that, so I sort of fell into bodybuilding. I never had the intention of, like, yes, I trained for those shows, but I more so just trained because I wanted something to compete for. One thing I learned about my body is that I really, like, I don't struggle with like body dysmorphia, because my intention when I first started training was to only be fit, you know, be mobile, be flexible. And even with my training with bodybuilding, like, I don't do like rigid reps. I always use full range of motion. So the most important thing that I've learned about my body is that, like, yes, I'm a bodybuilder now, but when I'm 40, I'm not going to be a bodybuilder. You know, I need to maintain some level of athleticism for my longevity. And so yes, like, I care about like looking good, but it's not the most important thing to me.
I like that.
Yeah.
One thing that I when I think about what you said, and I think about like cycling, or I think about marathon running, in those sports, it's such a longevity with like fitness. I always give this story. During the pandemic, I was riding my bike and I'm going the hardest I've ever, like, I'm like pushing, and some older gentleman in his like probably just like early 80s rolled up on the side of me and was like, hey, it's a good day out here. And I'm like, yeah, it is a really nice day. And then he just takes off and you're just like, whoa, like, what is going on? So with that understanding of fitness, where do you see yourself when you are 40? Like you said, when you're 40 and you're done with bodybuilding, you know, we always look at like people like Arnold, right? And you see them like these guys were like Greek gods. Like, they had the statue. Like, they were, if you put them next to a Greek statue, they're probably looking better than the statue. And then now, you know, you see Arnold and he's still working out, but he can't do the things that he used to do. Or, you know, you see C.T. Fletcher, or you see all of these guys that we seen, Ronnie Coleman, all of these guys that we seen when we were growing up, and you're like, this is like, how did you even get that? You know, where do you see yourself? Because I don't think that a lot of the people in bodybuilding are thinking that far out ahead. And for you to be so young, and also have the accomplishments that you have so young, but still be thinking about yourself at 40 is kind of interesting. Like, where do you see yourself?
Yeah, definitely much smaller. Maybe like 190 to 210, and strictly training for function. I think I've watched so many documentaries and YouTube videos on former athletes like NBA, NFL, soccer, like tying themselves so hard to one identity that when they retire that they're lost. And so for me, bodybuilding is just a phase. You know, there's going to be maybe 10, 15 different iterations of myself by the time I die. And so I just got to accept the fact that, you know, it's cool now. Maybe it's probably not going to be healthy doing this till 60, so I don't need to do it till 60 because there's so many things I can be and there's so many things I can do to only limit myself to one thing forever.
Your perspective is so. That's why I couldn't wait to get a chance to talk to you, because I feel like you have such a different perspective than most people, and I can understand why. Like I said, for me, I'm a both sides of the coin type of person, so I can understand. Even if I have someone that hates me, I will sit there and be like, I can understand.
Yeah, no, I
can get. I can
that's
understand.
real. That's real.
Yeah, I can get why you don't like me. And I think part of it is just you having that balanced thought. I think for someone who's been spending 20 years just doing what you or trying to accomplish what you've accomplished, and then hearing you say, it's just a phase, you know. I can see why they're like, oh my God. But I identify with that because I go through so many different phases. Me and Mac were just laughing a couple days ago because I just started playing golf, and Mac started doing the same thing, and I can see those phases forming. Whereas like now I'm like, I remember there was like, I think we were on the 7th hole, and I'm just out there shooting. I'm just like, oh, this is cool, whatever. And then I hit this one ball, and I was like, and I remember running to the ball. I remember jogging, and I remember thinking in my head, like, I can get better at this, right? Yeah. But it's that one thing that keeps you coming back all the time. So what's that one thing for you in fitness, whether it's bodybuilding, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's, just fitness in general, meal prepping? What's that one thing that keeps you coming back, that you continue on wanting to get better at?
That's a great question. Bodybuilding to me is challenging. I think, having my coach look at my physique and say, hey, I want you to bring this up. Like, he'll say something super specific, like bring up the gap between your chest. I don't want to see a gap anymore. Or bring up like your lower lats. And like, those are hard areas to target. I think the challenge of trying to grow my muscle in certain places keeps bringing me back. Love that. Yeah. And then I get pretty maniacal when it comes to competing. And so if I'm gonna be stepping on stage, it's not that I want to win. It's almost like I need to win.
It's almost like there's the person that just likes winning, and then there's the person that just hates losing. Like, you just hate losing more like you winning.
It's about equal. It's pretty equal.
It's very equal.
It's
okay.
pretty equal.
Yeah. So I have a question as well, because I know that we also talk about balancing life and how certain things need to be sacrificed, and it's kind of like this rolling ball of, maybe this isn't making the cut this week, so I can make time for this. And it's like a constant decision-making process when you have that goal, that it's, you got to make tough decisions, and it's a series of those tough decisions every single day. So in your journey, what did this cost you to get to where you are now? What are some of the sacrifices that you had to give up?
Food for sure. I am not as close to my friends as I once was. Because like I try to keep everything very organized and regimented. I just don't have any free time to go and hang out, or and I'm not the best at like checking in and seeing how people are doing. And so I'd say like certain relationships have definitely suffered. But outside of that, everything else that I sacrificed, I was willing to sacrifice, and I was more than willing to do so.
That's big. What did you want to be when you were growing up? I mean, I know you say like you know, of course, like our first. I've noticed as we talk to most of our guests, their parents got them into fitness, right? You know, or you know your dad may have gave you a basketball or football or you know soccer or you know it's like the thing that we learned growing up, right? And then you fell into bodybuilding, which is another thing. What did you want to go? Like if I would have asked you at 10 what you wanted to be, what would that answer be?
I wanted to be a professional soccer player. I always knew I'd be a professional athlete. I just didn't think it'd be in bodybuilding. Yeah.
That's interesting. What would you say, like, do you think you would have been more happier with the soccer goal or the bodybuilding goal? Like where you're at now versus what you would have where you think you would have been. Are you okay where you're at now?
Yes, I am. I have joked around and said like, man, if I was as good at soccer as I was at bodybuilding, like I'd be a millionaire by now. But because bodybuilding doesn't pay much unless you're at the top of the top. But I believe in God. I mean, this is a different conversation. I understand religion, but I more so believe in God, and also like Christ's message was to teach you to be conscious, not so much like to follow a certain religion, but just to like find God within you. And so when I made that big decision to just stop playing soccer, like it felt like in my heart of hearts like it was the right decision to make, and it was an easy transition. And so I think I'm happy where I'm at, and I think I'm exactly where I was meant to be.
I like that.
Yeah. And I think that's honestly like I'm glad you brought up faith too as well. That's something that we haven't really hit on much in a lot of our episodes, but just being able to trust in something bigger than you regardless of what that is, I do think to the human experience is necessary, because there's going to be times where you can't really rely on like your own understanding of the situation or your own willpower. Like you got to draw from something bigger and know that there's, you know, you're moving towards something that's bigger than what you have your eyes set on, you know. So I think that's very cool that you can like draw from that to help fuel you to get to where you want to be. I think that's a great point.
So here's an interesting thing or perspective that I've had that I always wanted to ask. I was saving this conversation for this, so I was. So you know my journey, 300 pounds, losing weight, and I remember going on to YouTube, and there was this guy. Your structure, kind of same body type, and I remember him saying, you got to have realistic goals. He said, if your goal is to look like The Rock, you got to first realize that The Rock has different genetics than you. The Rock has spent the last 20 to 30 years working on his physique and working on his bodybuilding. His full-time job is to be The Rock, not working. So with that being said, what is some advice that you have to someone? Let's just say they click on right now and they just see you talking. They're like, "Oh man, he's really fit. I think I could learn from him." What advice can you give that person that's just starting today? Today's the day. Today's the day.
Today's the day. I would say have a set split. Starting day one, completely green, never played sports.
Never.
I would say try to get in the gym at least twice a week. upper body, lower body. Start simple. Cardio one day. Keep it as simple as possible. Do not burn yourself out. I have a ton of clients that are green as well, and they want to get started right away. Or I can do 5 days, 6 days. It's not necessary right now. Start with 2, build your way up. Don't burn yourself out. It's my best piece of advice.
Have you ever ran into scenarios with your clients that are maybe a little bit more new to it, like not necessarily your bodybuilding clients, but clients that are more new to the fitness space, where they've set an expectation for where they'll be based on how you look?
Yes, I do. And I always say that it's like The Rock. It's literally my job to work out and be a physique competitor. On top of that, we're not even getting into the conversation of genetics. Like I only look like me, and I can only look like me, and you can only look like you. But I always tell people, give it 90 days, and you'll see some results if you're consistent. I'm not saying you're going to be jacked. I'm not saying you're going to lose all the fat that you want to lose, but just give it 90 days, and you'll see something.
Yeah, I think that's big, and I think that's the biggest conversation. Me and Mac, we started this podcast, and it's pretty much based off the conversations that we had in the break room.
Yeah,
and you've been a victim of my break room questions.
I wouldn't say victim. I'd say willing participant.
Every time I'm like, people come in the break room and they're like, "Oh, Darnell's in here. He's about to ask me a million questions." But I think I'm just genuinely curious about other people's journeys. And one thing that stuck out to me is a conversation we had about genetics, and it wasn't something that I thought that a lot of people thought about, and it's just like how to pretty much, a long story short, is how your ancestors operated is how you're the result of your ancestors. Every day-to-day life, right?
Yes.
So, if your ancestors were farmers, or they worked, or whatever they done in the past can kind of show up in your genetics and in your physique now. So, just that conversation, if you can, just let's expound on that a little bit.
Yeah, I was speaking about. I think we were talking about African genetics with bodybuilding, and so. Of course, like every single race, can get big, can get swole, can get shredded. But when it comes to African people, like we have more full and more round-looking muscle bellies because it's so hot in Africa. We're right near the equator. Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, Ivory Coast specifically. And so our muscle bellies hold water, and that's what allows like that bubbly and full look. But at that same point, is to our detriment, because when it comes to cutting, it's so hard to get that dry and shredded look that Caucasian people are able to get because we hold on to so much water. Even our calf insertions, we're hunters, sprinting. Our calves are, my calves aren't small, but they look small because of how they insert, because it's made for sprinting.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. And it's something that I mean, ever since we've had that conversation, it's something that I've always thought, because for some reason, like, I don't work on my calves at all. Like, I mean, I do like some calf workouts, but I can't say that I necessarily like specifically try to get calves. And like when I'm on a treadmill or something like that, people were like, "Dude, how did you get your calves like that?" I'm like, that's just how I am. I don't know. Yeah. But it's just certain things that I'm like, after that conversation, I'm like, okay, like this is something that has nothing to do with me working out. This is just something that kind of got passed down to me. So I thought that was interesting, but I also think it's important for people to understand their family history to what they want to do, because they can come to you and say, "Moses, I want this, I want this, I want this," and you as their trainer, you can be like, "Let's work on it." But also, I think having that realistic goal in mind, and it can help people go back and be like, "Hey, what did my granddad look like? Yeah. What did my let me find some pictures and see what their physique looked like, and see if if this is something that I can even do."
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, my dad, maybe I was like 5 or 6, my dad used to brush my teeth for me. I remember one time he was brushing my teeth, and I was like, "Man, why is this guy's arm so big?" And like I think in that moment I should have realized maybe I can,
You just get some arms.
Bro might have a future in this.
but it's funny that you say that, because like my dad, he dabbled a little bit in bodybuilding, and my older brother, he was on his way to play professional football, and I've noticed that like my extremity, I can, like, if I spend like real time in the gym on my extremities, people like, yo, this dude, like, how are you, like, what's going on, right? But my trunk, it's like, I don't know. No,
I don't know.
It doesn't matter what I do. It's just like, it's just going to be there.
Yeah, no, I think the whole genetics conversation is really interesting to me, because I work with a lot of women, especially like women maybe over the age of like 30. Right? And like they're drawing their expectations for what they want out of their fitness journey from like Instagram or like magazine stuff, or like, and I'm like, they're talking about traits, though. It's nothing that's necessarily trainable, so to say. Like, you just, sometimes the way that your body is shaped, like the way that you are as a person. And they'll talk about, oh yeah, well, my family has a long history, blah, 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 or we've got a long line of like this trait. And I'm just like, so then why do you think that doing 3 sets of bridges is going to, I don't know. I mean, so I think sometimes it's hard having that conversation. For me, it's very difficult kind of, because I think people want a certain level of control over things when they're lifting or when they're in the gym. But I feel like as much control as give you over some stuff, you can't control everything. And I think that that's very hard for people to accept mentally.
Yeah.
No, I fully understand that, and especially, me transitioning, and this is, back to you transition from one sport to another one. One of the biggest things for me transitioning over into endurance sports is I had to let the toxic, I'm going to lift every weight in the room mentality go, because you don't need to lift your PR every week to in weights to run a marathon. It's just not necessary. Like you're running, like you're literally shedding everything while you're running. Your body's trying to become more efficient. So if you're sitting there trying to lift the heaviest weights in the room, or try to be that guy that's like right next to, and I know we've all been there. You sit down and the guy next to you, or the girl next to you, is getting 45s in, and you got these like 25s, and you're just doing you're doing your thing, and it's self-conscious. You're like, but I had to let that go to understand that I got to get better at getting strength and not get better at lifting the heaviest weights in the room, because at the end of the day, no one's impressed by that but me. No, when you're in the locker room conversation with your boys, you're like, I put 2 plates of 245s up today, and everybody's like, that's cool, but that doesn't translate to running 26 miles. Right. You know what I mean? So that was the biggest transition for me, is like I literally had to get out the mentality that raised me. And shed those thoughts. So like, what is something that you had to literally leave behind mentally, not only to get into bodybuilding, but now you're training people. So you the way you think affects 20 plus people.
I used to always just want to move a ton of weight too, and then my last coach taught me that it's not about the weight, it's not about how far you can move it, it's about how well you can contract your muscle to get it to grow, because we're not powerlifters, we're just bodybuilders. And so that's for myself. For my clients, it's more so trying to not have them only do what I do, because I know bodybuilding. I know bodybuilding training like the back of my hand, but they may not want that. They may need plyometrics. I have 60-year-old clients, like, she doesn't need to lift weights. She needs to learn how to, step. She needs to learn how to use her knees correctly. She needs to learn how to bend down and pick things up. She needs to learn how to not slide her feet when she walks, and do big movements. And so it's trying to be open to more styles of training than just my own.
So Moses, obviously it's been a pleasure having you on this episode. We've just got to ask you the signature question of what makes fitness an art and not a science, in your opinion?
I think science is able to be quantified. You can say, if you want to grow your chest, do 10 to 12 hard sets per week, and train until failure. I think what makes fitness an art is that, like, not everyone can follow that rubric. It's really you just experiencing and then finding your own lane. And so fitness is so unique for everybody that in the way that it's not set. Everyone has their own thing, My wife, she loves functional training, but she also loves to look like a wellness bodybuilder. I love bodybuilding movements, but I also really enjoy being mobile and doing jiu-jitsu and things like that, or hiking. Some people love just bodybuilding. Some people like to combine, Pilates and yoga. Some people like to do several different things. It's also, what makes it an art is that it's what makes you happy. It's what makes you, what's the word? I think happy is the word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, to summarize, what makes fitness art, not a science, that it's not able to be quantified. It's
What makes you
it's
happy?
more than just numbers.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Man, this is, you heard it here first, guys. Thank you, Moses, for coming on. Please
Thank you
don't
for
be
having me.
a stranger to the show. We'd love to have you on more.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for tuning in. This has been a great episode. Thank you for tuning in to Art of Fitness. I am Clutch. This is Mac. Peace.